Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to what is going to be, I believe, our last meeting of 2025. Since the last time that we have met, it's been a tough time for West Perth community as well as the municipality of West Perth family. I would like to extend our condolences to the Eckmeyer and Scott family on the sudden passing of 8-year-old Cade Eckmeyer. His short life touched the lives of many people in our community who are grieving and sharing in the pain with his family. Julie Appleby, a familiar face to the downtown business community, passed away a week ago Friday. She was a very kind and thoughtful woman who was always friendly and sincere as she worked at Walther's Pharmacy. I think as a West Perth family, we were all shocked and saddened on Friday to learn of the sudden passing of our colleague and friend Cody Feltz, who served most recently as our rural operations foreman and as captain with the West Perth Fire Department. Cody was valued not only as an employee, but as a great community participant and leader as he volunteered his time and talent to many organizations, including the Mitchell Hawks. His easygoing nature, kindness, and sense of humor will be remembered by all who had the privilege of knowing him or working alongside of him. Our sincere condolences go out to Cody's family, Kelsey, Levi, Leela, parents Doug and Tina Feltz, and siblings Nick Feltz and Rachel Wybrow. Please remember these families, especially at this time of year, as we bow our heads for a moment of silent reflection. And thank you. All right, we'll call our meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda at all?
Through the chair, there are no additions
No
to the
addition.
agenda this evening.
Okay, so then a motion would be in order to accept the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Rose and seconded by Councillor Foster. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Does anybody have a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda tonight? Okay, don't see any hands going up. So at this time, I will pass the meeting over to our budget chair, Deputy Mayor Dean Trnkowski. Dean, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Mayor McKenzie. Good evening, council colleagues, staff, members of the public. Tonight, we're going to entertain a series of reports culminating in the mayor's strong mayor's budget. First of all, we'll start with item 4.1, the property assessment analysis report. And I call upon Wendy McMurray, our West Perth treasurer, to lead us in that report. Wendy, go ahead, please.
Thank you and good evening. So this report is that better? Okay. Seems to be me in this microphone. So this report is your assessment report from Opta. And so it breaks down some different groups of your assessment classes. So in looking at it, this was the first time we were able to kind of pull it by ward. So it was very interesting to see kind of what wards are growing and in what areas they're growing. So we looked at the residential and it's growing more in the rural wards than it is in your urban ward, which was interesting. Commercial growth is also happening in your rural wards as opposed to your urban, which is Mitchell. And then looking at that, Logan has been the strongest contribution to your assessment. And then we looked at your industrial and commercial assessment. And we're expecting with Heron Business Park that you'll see some growth as that comes online. And then as far as your farmland goes, your farmland is made up, well, West Perth is made up of 94% farmland. And so it is your biggest assessment class. But then once you kind of look at its contribution to the levy, by the time you apply the ratio, it's 32% of your levy, and your residential makes up 58%, and then the other classes make up the 10%. And then there's a brief description about your payment in lieu. And then your exempt assessment grew, and that's largely due to the new farm exemption for managed forest. And then as far as your growth from last year to this year, you're growing at 28 to almost $29 million. So your total West Perth assessment is $3.253 billion. This new added assessment that's come on board will generate $168,434 in new property taxes. And in the report, it highlights what classes are contributing, but residential is being $126,057 out of the 168. And then farmland is about 12,000, and your commercial and industrial is about 31,000. If there's any questions on the assessment, I'd gladly take them.
Thanks, Wendy, for that report. Counselors, any questions for Wendy on this? Counselor Fournier, go ahead.
Sure, Your Worship, it's a kind of a nitpicky detail, but on page 2 of the report, it says that the residential assessment is 57% of the total levy. And I believe it's page 5, it says it's 58%. There's just that 1% floating around that I'm wondering about.
Yeah, so it's 58%. And so it's just, when we first wrote the report, the numbers weren't in, it was all preliminary. And so just a little typo there. So it's 58.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? Last call. Don't see any hands up. Okay. So with that, we have a recommendation that reads as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth receives the property assessment analysis report for information. Looking for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Duck, seconder, Councillor Fournier. Okay, final call for questions or comments, discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Thank you. Item 4.2, updates to the 2026 operating and capital budget. And once again, Wendy will go through the details of that report.
So this report is just bringing in the 2 changes that came on since the last meeting, and that being 50% of parks projects being funded by the Parks Reserve. So that brings in $73,078, and that's being funded from your Parks and Recreation Reserve. And then the other change was the $5,000 donation to the high school for their food insecurity ask. So with that, your change overall from last year to this year is an additional $861,803, meaning that your levy went up 7.12%. And then based on the assessment that we talked about in the previous report, we're bringing in an extra $168,000. So then your tax rate increases 5.65%. And in the report, it also brings what each property median household value would equate to. So your residential is an increase of $106, or roughly 8.84 per month. And then you have your farmhouse, your farmland, commercial, and industrial listed there in the report. If there's any questions, I'd gladly take. And I do hear that feedback. I don't know if you guys hear it too. Yeah, how's that? Is that better? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we were wondering if it was the laptop. So is it still there? I can turn it off.
Okay, while Wendy's looking after that, counselors, any questions for Wendy, on this report. I think our overall levy increase was $861,803 overall, but then subtracting growth of $168,434. That brings the requisition down to an increase of 5.65% over last year. So any questions? Mayor McKenzie, go ahead, please.
Well, they always say you shouldn't ask a question unless you know the answer, and Wendy's explained this to me. I always wondered, when you hear people talk about taxes, they would base it on a dollar value of a residence, and everybody's dollar value was different. And do you want to explain that in one sentence or less? It's very simple. And she did kind of indicate when she did this tonight, the median, and every municipality will have its own median.
Yeah, so when people talk percentages, sometimes they're talking the levy. So that's just your budget. So if your budget goes up $1 million, what does that mean? And then your tax rate includes your growth. And so sometimes those numbers can get mixed up in the media and headlines. But also when you're talking about a median household, it's different from each municipality, and ours is lower than most. So I think Perth East was in the 300s. And so when they're talking about how much it would cost a resident in there, it would be different because their assessment is different, or their median household is different. So it makes it hard when we're comparing to each other, because when we're talking about household numbers or levy numbers, you have to really know that you're comparing apples to apples. Hopefully that helps and doesn't confuse you.
Any other questions? Councillor Vink, go ahead, please.
If I may, Deputy Mayor Trentowski, I think it's about time that MPAC does a reassessment, because we're still using the 2016 numbers. And I just wanted to, since we were kind of going down that route with the Mayor McKenzie's question, just point that out, that I think that's well overdue, and I think we would all agree it's overdue.
Go ahead, Wendy.
We just got notification with the province when they gave us the tax, or for the school board tax rates, that it's not in their workflow for 2026, just based on the status of the economy. They figure that we are already dealing with tariffs and different things, different economic measures, and they won't be doing a reassessment in 2026. You'll see that in the next agenda.
Thanks, Wendy. And we did, as a council, I believe, endorse a resolution to MPAC to do the very thing you suggested, Councillor Vink. But as Wendy has pointed out, the MPAC is they have a different timetable than what we would prefer. So we'll stay tuned. Anything else? Mayor McKenzie, go ahead.
Well, I think my understanding that MPAC is glad to do it and will do it anytime. I think that was the presentation that they made here. I think the holdup is to get the word go from the province. And certainly, and I don't know who's all going to the Roma conference, but it's maybe something that could be brought up during one of the question periods there. I'm not sure if the county has a delegation on that subject or not. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't believe that the county does at the present moment, but I know I asked the question of the finance minister last year, and the answer was this is a zero-sum game. So it wasn't moving the needle with the minister. So anyhow, any other questions or comments? Don't see any. We have the recommendation that reads as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth receives the updates to the 2026 operating and capital budgets report for information. Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Rose, seconder Councillor Harold. Final call for discussion, questions, or comments. Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Thank you. We're going to move next to 2026, the mayor's budget. So with great pleasure, I turn the chair over to Mayor McKenzie.
Okay, yeah, so we're down to 4.4 on your agenda, and then we're going to back up to 4.3 in a minute or two. And I guess right off the bat, I would like to say I really don't refer to this as the mayor's budget. I think we worked at it all together, so it's our budget. But anyways, if that's what they wish us to call it, we'll call it that. The 2026 mayor's budget reflects a collaborative approach, maintaining core services while addressing contractual obligations, new service enhancements, and ongoing capital investments in West Perth. On the operating side, key changes include the addition of PC Transit to municipal services, providing expanded transportation options for residents. The OPP contract has increased by 11%, impacting policing costs. The operating budget also accounts for required arena debt payments. The capital budget continues to prioritize strategic investments, including the arena upgrades, development of the Heron Business Park, ongoing road habilitation for line 32 and 49, replacement and renewal of the municipal equipment, and planned water and wastewater system upgrades. Overall, the total municipal levy will increase by 803,000, representing a 7.12% levy increase and a 5.65 tax rate increase after factoring in assessment growth. On average, a typical household would see an increase of $106 per year, or approximately $8.84 per month, while farmland property would see an increase of $160 per year, or approximately $13.35 per month. The mayor's budget emphasizes stability, collaboration, and responsible planning, balancing the service enhancements, contractual obligations, and critical infrastructure investments to support the long-term stability of West Perth. And I guess at this time, do you have anything further to add, or we'll turn it back to Wendy?
Through the chair, no, nothing further to add at this time. I think we can turn it back to Wendy and move forward to the next item, which should answer questions on next steps. Thank you.
I should have left my computer back there. So the next report talks about the process for the mayor's budget. And in that, we laid out 3 options for council, and in the recommendation, we've selected option 3. Staff felt, based on the collaborative effort and the open floor discussions, that shortening up the periods was maybe the direction council wanted to go in. So we shortened it up in option 3. But there are 2 other options if council feels they need a longer amendment period. So option 3. So in the report, we talked about the legislative requirements. So, which is option 1. And in that option, you have 30 days for your amendment period. So this is where any member of council can make an amendment, and we have 30 days under the legislative requirement to respond to those. And then in that, we would call a meeting to address those amendments. And then there's a 10-day veto period for the mayor. And then after that, there's a 15-day override period. And so with all those legislative timelines, it works out to February 9th. If there were no amendments, your budget is deemed approved. And then that would be after, that'd be January 12th or 14th. So that's option 1. Option 2, we felt if there were amendments that we would follow one of your already structured council meetings. And so that's option 2. And again, if there's no amendments that come forward, your budget is deemed approved on January 12th or as late as January 27th. So option 3 is what staff are recommending. And this has a 2-day amendment period, a 1-day veto period, and a 1-day override period. And so with that, if there are amendments outside of now, outside of today, if amendments come tomorrow, then we would have to hold a meeting between tomorrow and the 17th. So just so that's clear on how those amendments work. So we put forward option 3, but other options are there if you feel you need more time for the amendments. So if there's any questions on those timelines, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions on Wendy's report there? Counselor Foster?
Under option 3 for the mayor's shortening powers to be submitted in writing, is that actually binding for Walter or not? Like, I don't think he's going to use it, but it feels relevant.
Through the chair, should council opt to proceed with scenario 3 outlined in the report, then we have prepared a written decision for the mayor who has indicated that they will sign that written decision that would shorten the mayoral veto period to 1 day. So it would place that written decision in writing from the mayor. And that's the extent of what the legislation calls for at this time.
Any other questions? I know it's kind of a whole new experience for us all here, so including myself.
I could also add the deemed process is new as well. And it highlights that once the amendment period is passed, the adopted or the budget is just deemed approved. In the past, we've always had a resolution or a bylaw. So we won't have that this year. It'll just be deemed approved. And so that is a bit of a change too. So you won't see it come back. Just for clarification on that side.
Okay, any questions? If not, we do have a recommendation here if you're ready to move on with it. Got the right one here. Yeah, okay. So the recommendation is the Council Municipality of West Perth approve option 3 as identified in the staff report to set the 2026 strong mayor budget timeline, and that council shorten the amendment period from 30 days to 2 days. And further, that council shorten the override period to 1 day. Do we have a mover and seconder for that recommendation? Councillor O'Donnell, Councillor Rose, discussion? Don't see any hands up. Bill, sorry.
What does an amendment look like? Like, what do we got to do to change something? Like just send an email into James?
Through the chair, so the legislation prescribes that amendments must be voted on by council and require a majority vote. So essentially the amendment would come to the floor, much like any other motion that is proposed by council or notice of motion that you may have seen in that form. To signal your intent to bring an amendment, yes, that would be in the form of an email to myself notifying that I wish to make an amendment within the amendment time period. That would signal to us that we need to call for a special meeting of council, and then we would place that amendment on the floor for a vote. So in terms of wording and approach, it's like any other motion from that point. Hopefully that answers your question.
Any other questions? Okay. We won't do second it. So we're ready for a vote if there's no further questions. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. And then we're into this one, which is an amendment. So the question about an amendment, and we're going to just see exactly what an amendment is, because the next item on the agenda is from Councillor Duck, and it is considered an amendment. So Ryan. I'll turn it over to you. And I guess Ryan can read the motion, right? And if we get a mover and seconder, then we can have a discussion. So I'll turn it over to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie. Yeah, so I've put this notice motion forward. I think it's it's an important thing we talk about sometimes, and it's a taboo subject when you're talking about remuneration and things that we can certainly see benefit from. But I do believe that the OMERS program is a good program. We're starting to see more councils joining in on it. I think it's a tool that can be used for drawing a better pool of candidates in the next coming election, which I think we should all want, good people running for good positions. I believe that there's a minimal cost to the town for this. And, a couple of comments have been made, about the total value down the road and whatnot. And I don't think, we should be looking at it like that. I think anytime you can put away money for a long term or rainy day, it's a good thing. And yeah, I firmly believe it's a good program. It's something that has a lot of value, as when we see all the municipalities are already in it. It's just a thing with councillors not being. So I would certainly move it. You want me to read the recommendation then, or?
That was what my thought was. I know everybody's had it for the weekend to look at, but would you prefer it? Should be read, shouldn't it, Jane? Yeah, it really should be read. You wrote it, you can read it.
All right. Whereas the Ontario Municipal Employees Retirement System, OMERS, is a well-established, jointly sponsored defined benefit pension plan that provides secure and stable retirement income for participating municipal employees across Ontario. And whereas the municipality currently provides OMERS pension benefits to eligible administrative and non-elected staff, contributing to employee retention, job satisfaction, and long-term financial security. And whereas members of council hold significant responsibilities, including legislative decision-making, financial stewardship, and representation of the public interest, often requiring substantial time commitment and continuity of service. And whereas the offering of OMERS participation to elected officials is permitted under OMERS plan rules at the discretion of the municipality. And where providing council members with access to the OMER pension plan would ensure equitable treatment between elected officials and municipal staff, recognizing the comparable level of responsibility in public service. And whereas the inclusion of OMERS participation for members of council may act as an important attraction and recruitment tool for candidates in the 2026 municipal election, encouraging a broader and more diverse pool of qualified candidates to seek office by reducing financial barriers associated with public service. And whereas enhancing compensation, fairness, and long-term financial stability for council members supports good governance and may contribute to enhanced continuity, experience, and leadership within council. Now, therefore, be resolved that council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaws and administrative steps required to enroll members of council in the OMERS pension plan, effective the first meeting of January 2026, in accordance with OMERS plan policies and applicable legislation. And staff report back to council with the financial implications, the implementation timeline, and any required updates to council remuneration policies, and that this change be communicated publicly as a part of the municipality's efforts to strengthen the attractiveness of public service, promote fairness and consistency with existing staff benefits, and support the recruitment of qualified candidates for the 2026 municipal election. And I would like to move that if I could, please.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Duck. So moved by Councillor Duck. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Fournier. Discussion? Questions? Councillor Fournier.
This just struck me as being sorry, through your worship, this just struck me as being sort of particularly good idea, especially for the task of broadening the group of people that being on council might appeal to. Like when I look at something like this, I'm seeing potentially a single mom here in town who works part-time somewhere that sees council as suddenly being an option for employment, and bringing those viewpoints onto council could be one of the most valuable changes we could make to the way that we make decisions. Because as we all see from the surveys we put out into the community, there's whole groups of people in this town that just don't talk to us. They don't figure that government has anything to do with them, so they don't have anything to do with government. If we can make our positions more appealing to those people, we can actually finally hear what they have to say.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Counselor Foster?
I was wondering if Wendy could come up and talk about the financial implications to the town, or in a broad sense.
Certainly. I think she's prepared.
It's all on my laptop. So council's total wages is about 174,000. And the OMERS pension is 9% of that. So that's about $15,000 or $16,000 that it would cost the municipality. And so what would happen is on each counselor's pay, they would contribute 9%. So you would actually get paid less take home. And then the municipality would match the 9. So the cost to the municipality would be 16 approximately. Does that answer the question, please?
Anything further, Counselor Foster?
I'm not sure if this is a Wendy question, but I was wondering how much of a administrative work is required in the enrolling of everyone and everything of that nature as well. And if what the restrictions are on, like, I know there's restrictions for age, for example.
Yep, so you can't contribute if you're older than 70, or 71, sorry. And so administratively, it does take some time to enroll everybody. And then every month we reconcile and we exchange numbers back and forth with OMERS. And if there's any discrepancies, we have to figure them out. So there is a bit of work on the administrative side.
Just to further elaborate on that, it is a bit of work, but I would say that's not a reason to not consider it. It's work that we do for already, as noted in there, majority of our staff. So we're familiar with the process and familiar with the work. So it's by no means a showstopper.
Other questions? Counselor Harold?
It's not so much a question, but more of a comment. I think it is a good idea for us to offer that for the same reasons that Councillors Fournier and Duck mentioned. It is something that attracts new applicants for positions. We've seen it at the Conservation Authority. They did not have OMERS. People were applying for jobs, asked if there were OMERS. They didn't offer it. They had a program just as good as OMERS as far as I'm concerned, but it wasn't called OMERS. And that's what people were looking for. So I think if we offer it, I think it would be a very good benefit to the existing staff and any counselors that would be coming in the future. I think it would be good for us.
Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Mayor McKenzie. Through you, I guess it's a question for staff. My question is about I'll call it the overall financial health of the OMERS program. Like, is this program, is it underfunded or is it properly funded, or what's the status of that? I'll call it the financial health or stability of this program.
I think OMERS, based on the presentation you guys heard, it's the second or third pension program in the province. So I would say it's managed quite well. I know their portfolio is a blend of a bunch of properties and investments, and so they're well diverse. So they have a good investment portfolio.
Thank you.
Any other? Counselor Vink?
Mayor McKenzie, I would agree with Councillor Duck as that this would be an important tool to attract excellent candidates. But I think it might be prudent to not implement it for this term of council, but rather the start of the next term of council. Because then when you're running, you know what you're running for. And today we already know what we are here for. Yes, remuneration does help, but we're here to serve. And the next council term starting in December of 2026, there'd be a chance for an election, and then you'd be able to run on the notion whether that the OMERS option would be available to you.
Okay. Anybody else? I'll take Deputy Mayor first and then Councillor Foster.
Thanks, Your Worship. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I understand the motivations behind Councillor Duck's motion. I'm just not totally convinced on its effect on drawing candidates. It's more than a benefit plan. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into this role, and my fellow councillors, I'm sure will agree wholeheartedly. But I'm not convinced that just offering a better set of benefits is going to be enough to bring people out, to interest them enough to put their name forward. Because once you put your name forward and you're elected or appointed, you're married to this thing for the length of the term. And I think people considering serving as a counselor need to do so, enter it eyes wide open. I just don't think it's quite enough. It's not hitting the right note for me. Like, you've got to, I think as Councillor Vink had said, you gotta be motivated to serve in the first place. Compensation needs to be done fairly, but I don't think OMERS is quite enough to touch all the bases for me. Thanks.
Councillor Foster.
Is monetary gain the reason that we want to be attracting candidates to run for office? Like, it seems like if the argument's being made, you're going to get better candidates when we pay them more. You might get more candidates, but if people are running for the reason of their personal gain, doesn't seem like they're really serving necessarily with the wholehearted care and concern of their community, but of themselves, which to me doesn't seem like the reason you want someone to be running for office.
If I understand Wendy correctly, if you decided to go with OMERS, you're actually going to take home less pay than what you do now. You have to
You're
put
paying
in
into
to
a
be
pension plan.
9%, was it, Wendy? That you'd have to contribute, which is taken off your pay.
But we're also taking 9% more from the ratepayer to pay ourselves more. So you could make the same argument. We just up our pay 9% if we wanted, and it would be the same cost to the taxpayer.
Councillor Duck?
I'd probably just like to point out first off that this is designed not for what's best for us as councillors individually. This is what makes the municipality a bit better. And in the last election, as you all will recall, 4 of us didn't even have to run for our jobs. We were acclaimed. So this isn't about paying us more or getting more benefits. This is about finding people in West Perth that are going to come out and they're going to sign up and run for this election. So we don't have to just sign up and get our jobs, so that there is good candidates running in the election. That would be my first piece. Second piece, we don't have to opt into it as councillors in this term if we did sign up for it. So if the concern was, you're missing the 9% of your paycheck, you certainly don't have to opt into this program. Being as we were councillors already, that was kind of one of the designs behind doing the January as opposed to the new term. Councillor Vink was that anybody that was on this term that didn't like the program or that, and certainly didn't want to take the 9% from the taxpayers, they would have that opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to join in. And furthermore, I'm not aware of any councillors that have turned down any of the wages we voted to give ourselves additionally since we were elected. So I don't want to just spin this as we're taking more from the taxpayers. We have taken more from the taxpayers each time we voted to give ourselves raises for 3 years in a row. So I'm not doing this to give you, as I said multiple times at different meetings, this isn't about giving ourselves a raise. This is about investing in the second best pension plan in Ontario, and having something that we have down the road as we retire. It's not designed to be retired off of. It's designed to have a pension. Or no, sorry, it's not designed to have a retirement pension, whereas we're going to live off of that because we were councillors for 4 years. It's so that there's a little bit of extra money at 65 down the road that we can have, whether it pays for a tank of gas, a thing of groceries, or 1 cup of coffee a month. And at the end of the day, if you don't want to sign up for a savings plan, you don't have to. It's not being forced upon you, but the vote is for what's best in the municipality, not what's best for us individually. So that's what I would just like to leave it at. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Duck. James? my understanding was that when Wendy said, either Wendy or James can answer it here, it was all in or all out, wasn't it?
Yes, once you sign on, it's going forward, everyone is on. There's no opting in or out. Everybody is required unless you hit that age requirement.
Through the chair too, I would just add that after an effective date, for example, a bylaw establishing that council are eligible to participate in the plan, any current and new members of council would then participate in the plan. And the point I guess I'm making with that is to the question of, can we pass a bylaw in say January and say, but we don't want it to be effective until the new term? I don't think you can do that. I think if you bring a bylaw saying we want to enroll in the plan, that's your effective date to enroll in the plan. Appreciating the comments that have been made and the logic behind that. That's my interpretation there.
Okay, Councillor Duckett.
Yeah, I just wanted to withdraw the comment. And thought she did say that current counselors, if joining at this point, would have the option to join or not. New counselors elected on the next term wouldn't have the option, but I would almost, anyway, I was confident she said that. I do apologize for the misinformation to everyone. So thank you.
Any new or future council members. So current council members would have the option to enroll in the plan. Current members of council at this table. Any new or future members of council. Yeah. Correct. Any new or future members of council going forward. Yeah. Yeah. You've got that right on.
Any other questions or comments here? So I'm gonna try and circle the wagons here. So we do have a motion on the floor. I can see this motion going a couple ways, like either you'll endorse it or you won't. If you don't, and I'm looking at James here, there was a thought that that you would come and well, defer it until next year and bring it back to council or bring it to the new council. Nicholas, I guess you can explain what your thinking was. Got a comment, Dan? Go ahead, by all means.
I think we should just vote on the motion that's on the floor and then see where it goes, and then we know how to proceed.
Enough, fair enough. No use muddying the waters any worse than what they are. Okay, so the motion has been duly moved and seconded, and I think we've had a fair discussion on this. So I guess we're ready for the question. All those in favor of Councillor Duck's motion? 5 opposed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'm not sure in my position whether I vote on it or not, but I would vote against it. So it's a tie vote. So it's defeated. Okay. All right. Nicholas?
Mayor McKenzie, but maybe to the clerk Hudson's point, though, if we're going to make a bylaw, how would we word it for this week? What I understood was we couldn't word it to say start of next council term. So then we should defer it to come back later on if that's that's some of our interest. To have it start at the next council term?
Through the chair, I'm going to defer to the chair for the decision on this. You've just considered that motion. You're asking about a request to reconsider a motion. That's up to you, Chair. Whether you.
And I'm not sure that's the intent of Nicholas's question here.
My question would be, could I reread Councillor Duck's notice of motion and just change the therefore to be December 2026?
I'm looking at James and he's saying no. Yeah. Okay. I think, well, go ahead, James. You,
Through the chair, and I appreciate what the councilor's saying there. To me, you're wordsmithing a motion that has just been on the floor. You're proposing to change one word in that motion. To my mind, that's a request for reconsideration. That is certainly an option for council at this time, should they wish to put a motion on the floor to reconsider the original motion. And I can pull up our procedural bylaw because it would take me a moment to confirm exactly what the threshold for voting is if we would like to reconsider the motion. We just have to look back and who voted what way to determine that, if that's a direction council wants to go.
as an observer, to me, the cleanest thing would be just for the new council of December 26th to bring it back and ask staff for particulars on it and then deal with it at that time, I think, if there's still interest in it. I realize it kind of defeats Councillor Duck's purpose of having people run because of our lucrative pension, but I think that's the cleanest way to deal with it. Well, I'll leave it at that if that's okay. I'm getting a stare from Andrew here. No, that's fine. Okay, then moving on. Really the only thing coming up, the next council meeting will be January the 12th of 2026. So normally, and I'm looking where this was in here. Normally at the last meeting of the year, and I got to appreciate the next year coming up is going to be a shorter year, but I give everybody an opportunity if they want to change your committee that you're on. There's always that option, and usually nobody does, but I still put that offer out there if anybody wants to switch a committee with somebody or anything like that. And I don't see any hands going up, so I'll assume everybody's happy and we'll carry on with where we are. So the next item then is, and I do this at the last meeting of every year, is the 2025 reflections. I can't remember which side I started on last year. Did I start with Murray last year? So let's start with Phil this year then. So just reflections of how the year went or any.
I just got a
Yeah.
couple here, the 2025 reflections, a couple successes. I think taking on that Huron Business Park development is going to be a good thing here in town. And also that storm restoration, when that big downburst went through, I think the community really came together and stepped up and helped neighbors and even municipal staff. They did a huge part in that. That's all I got.
Diane?
Mayor McKenzie, I think you alluded to it, but it's hard to believe that that was our last budget as this term of council. That already next year will, like you mentioned, will be a short year because it's a municipal election year. Like Phil, I'm really looking forward to the continued work on the Huron Business Park because we made a significant capital investment in that, I think to the tune of we're $6.7 million. And that's really, I'm looking forward to that, what that will bring to our community in terms of economic growth, and then the benefits of afterwards of that economic growth. So that's one of the things that I'm most proud of in 25.
Councillor Harold?
As you mentioned, if any of us are interested in changing some of the committees we're on, I just want to refer to the Perth County OPP Detachment Police Services Board Committee that I'm a member of. We've had a full year in this year, and I just want everybody to know that not only the people on that committee, but also the OPP are all very engaged in this new detachment board system. It seems to be working very well. And I'm quite encouraged by the way it's going. And we've been led by North Perth Mayor Todd Kassenberg, and he's done a great job for us. And I just wanted to say that.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Harold. I'll go over here to Councillor Rose, I guess.
Yes, it's been another busy year, and I'm really quite proud of everything we have accomplished working together and hope to do more in the future.
Very good. Thank you. Councillor Foster?
I'd like to say how proud I are of the staff and their fine work. And then as well of how nice everyone here is, even when we have disagreements, how our council stays very civil and nice with each other. And it's nice to have a council that functions so well.
Hey, thanks. Andrew?
I usually have too much to say, but this time I'm having trouble thinking of something to say. I like the unanimity that we tend to achieve in council. A lot of the times, except for that one split vote that we just have, it's usually just all on one side, all or another. They can get along with each other sort of deal. And although this isn't strictly a council thing, I think it's something that I got done because I was on council. That West Perth Community Gardens project that I've had on the go, not only has it tripled in size, we have 3 different locations now, but the young fellow that took the job on as chairperson of our little committee, it completely changed his life. Like he went from just being on ODSP and being kind of depressed and not having the greatest time to getting recognized in the grocery store, to feeling respected in his community. And then 3 months later, he starts his own social media management business, and now he's working for himself. Like it's just it's the big success story of the entire project, actually, that somebody decided to do it, got respect, got the taste of respect in his mouth, and decided to go out and get more. And I'm really, really proud of him for that.
Very good. Very good. Councillor Duck?
I think everybody's kind of hit everything on the head here. We've had a pretty successful year, productive year, and look forward to 2026.
Very good. Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Mayor McKenzie. Yeah, a few things kind of floating around in my mind. Think of the saying that the days are long and the years are short. This past year's been no exception. I'm quite pleased to see how our council's grown as a group, not only this year, but since the term began. It was only 3 years ago, but sometimes it feels like it was 3 centuries ago, given the amount of things that we've had to work on together as a council, work together with staff as well as the public. And Councillor Fournier touched on something in a specific instance, but for 2026, I'd like to see continued communication between council, staff, and the public that would lead to greater levels of engagement and collaboration. I think Mayor McKenzie mentioned the tragedies that have befallen the community as of late. And it really puts a human side, human face onto our community that I think sometimes in the busyness of being busy or being engaged in so many things, we forget about that. Sometimes I get concerned when sometimes people get on Facebook and they're quick to criticize, quick to judge, but slow to think and slow to consider the human side of our community. And we've really seen the human side here lately. And I think it's a reminder to us all to just take a moment, put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, walk a mile in their shoes and get a better understanding of what that's like. And I think it's really, really important that when we see people that are struggling in their lives, that it's okay to fall down, but the important thing is to get back up. That's the real victory, is getting back up, as Councillor Fournier alluded to with the individual with the community gardens. And when we see someone slip and fall, it's important that we lend them a hand to get back up, because goodness knows there are a lot of people in the community that could use a hand right now. And I think that's where we need to find ourselves, is how can we help to get people back up and continue on in their journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor McKenzie, could I say congratulations to Deputy Mayor Trentowski? He is now Warden of Perth County, and we are very proud to have you as a Warden, Dean, and we know that you'll serve us, the whole county, very well. And so congratulations.
Thanks, Councillor Bink. And as I alluded to, I appreciate everyone's support around the table, staff, and the public as well. It's very, it feels good to know that there's that level of support, and it inspires me to do the best I can. And as I mentioned in my acceptance speech on the 4th of December, it's really, I just want to build a sense of togetherness. Like we do these things together. It's not me. It's not one. It's everybody, and I want to foster that approach to teamwork and togetherness, because together we can do things that we couldn't imagine that possible. So thank you.
Okay, I can just stroke Councillor Vink's comments off my comments here. I do think, you've mentioned most of the things, and that's kind of the purpose of why I go last, because it's already been mentioned. But sometimes it's the little things that achieve as much as the larger projects. And certainly, I'm quite interested in our Heron Business Park and getting it on stream and getting that, coming. But, for the second year in a row, we allowed West Perth Village to use Ketterson Park for an entertainment event. And because of that, they've basically paid off the amount that they were fundraising for the initial building that they had. And now they're going to go on, I think, eventually and fundraise some more. And certainly this year, they're looking at a 2-day event, and we've already committed ourselves to that. The other little item, is the allowing of the Schoonerwood family to use the pavilion for an ice rink. And I haven't been over there since we've put the ice in. I don't know whether Nick has been over there or not, but certainly before the ice went in, it was just busy with kids playing ball hockey. Like, they're having a great time there. So, those little things have a big impact on the community. And those are the little things that, kind of make you feel good at the end of the day. So, I've mentioned about the industrial park. Certainly, we've got a number of I call them infrastructure projects that we're going to carry on, and we do a certain amount every year and carry on with that. It'll be, I think it'll be interesting to finally get the arena, the tenders out and get them back in, and come spring, get that work underway and carry on. So I think I'll leave it there. I don't know if Dan or James want to add anything further. I gave you an opportunity at the Christmas party, I know.
No, thank you. I think, yeah, council's hit on it. Outside of getting Wendy a new microphone for 2026, I think just continuing to work with staff and supporting staff would be my main goals looking forward, so we can support the community and support council in their wishes as well. And I'll quickly note that it's 1 year to the date for me sitting here as CAO. So thank you again, council, for the opportunity.
Okay, thanks, Dan. James, anything? I don't want to throw you under the bus.
No, that's okay. I think I'd echo some of Councillor Foster's thoughts. Just really appreciate the kindness that's shared in this room and around this table. I've had a great first year here with the municipality. I felt welcomed to this group and to this team, and just a real pleasure to serve here in the community and look forward to continuing that 2026.
Okay, thank you. And I guess I would be amiss if I didn't express my appreciation to the staff. Like, they just 110%. Like, if I need something, I can walk in pretty well anytime. And, you know, like, I'm welcomed with open arms. Mind you, when I leave, it's by the cuff of my neck maybe sometimes, but no, they're just great staff to deal with. And that means a lot. And I've enjoyed working with everybody around the table here too. I think, you know, we haven't always agreed, but most times we do. And I always think that our get together after the council meeting probably means a lot, that we socialize and, you know, your issues that you maybe didn't agree on, they go by the wayside. Okay, we'll carry on then. I don't believe we have a closed session tonight for any reason. So we do have a bylaw here to be passed, and it's zoning bylaw 315, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 100 for a property legally described as park lot 47 plan 339, registered plan 44R6107, Mitchell in the municipality of West Perth, probably better known as the Vaness property. I don't know, is there anything to add, James?
Through the chair, no, council may recall, this is the amended bylaw which council approved as amended at the previous meeting of council. So we've brought that back with the changes reflected from council's motion. Thank you.
Okay, with that explanation, then the recommendation is that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth give third and final reading to bylaw Z 315-2025, this 15th day of December 2025. Mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Vink, seconded by Councillor Rose. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. The next item then is confirmatory bylaw. It's bylaw 73, 2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth be read a first and second time this 15th day of December. So mover for first and second readings, Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Harold. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And then bylaw 73, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth, be read a third time and finally passed this 15th day of December. Mover and seconder for third reading, third and final reading. Councillor Fournier, Councillor O'Donnell, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And then the final one that we've been waiting for, the end of 2025, that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth adjourn the council meeting at 8:04 p.m. Moved by Councillor Harold, seconded by Deputy Mayor Trankowski. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.